Christopher Spera, and this is the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 87. Take these ads and shove it. I ain't surfing here no more. Recorded live Sunday, April 28th, 2024. Live from iTechGear Central. As I said, I am Christopher Spera, the editor-chief over at iTechGear, and joining us this week on a short leash. His back has him on a short leash this week. It's Mr. Larry McJunkin. How are you, sir?
I am in need of a doctor. That's what I am. Obviously still fighting some back issues, but you know what? If the pain ever gets subsides, I'm gonna begin some serious physical therapy and try and preclude this from happening again. By the way, I love the show title. Sometimes I think we work harder at show titles than we do the show sometimes.
It takes a little bit to think that crap up, you know? Honest to goodness.
It does. It's hard.
It does. You got to be cute. You got to be timely. Yes. Yes, of course, the former co-owner of WUGNET Publications and, of course, editor over here at iTechGear.org. Also joining us, holy smokes, joining us this week is the former contributing writer from Gear Diary and currently the host of the Linux Link Tech Show and the host of the Living in the Retro Arcade podcast, Brother Joe McLaughlin. How are you, sir?
Suffering succotash.
Suffering yet. Yes, very much so.
I'm doing well. I broke down and turned on that AC because it's
They get a little
84 degrees outside right now, or it was today anyway. So, and tomorrow it's going to be in the 80s.
Yeah,
perfect weather for what I did today. I did a 5-mile hike, so I'm doing well.
Awesome. And speaking of doing well and a 5-mile hike, somebody who is neither of those things, unfortunately, we are without the dulcet tones of Mr. Chris Gavula. This week he is under the weather, so we will wish him a speedy recovery and we will get on. But speaking of Apple's walled garden and maybe some holes in it, hey Larry, are the walls of Apple's walled garden falling down?
You know, I don't know that they're falling down or tumbling down or whatever you want to say. But I do think that I was reading, of course, I read a lot of articles, and as you guys will attest, there's so many good articles out there and bad ones. It's hard to read them all in the course of a day or a week, and we try to stay on top of everything. But this article by Allison Johnson over at The Verge really got my attention. I think she did an absolutely brilliant job of just putting this thing in perspective. Apple absolutely has a walled garden, but in all honesty, so does Google, so does Microsoft. They're just not quite as successful at keeping the users inside of their gardens as Apple is, because they're not as restrictive.
That is very true.
They're not as restrictive. Their stuff will play everywhere in some regards, and Apple stuff won't. I mean, their stuff is their stuff for the most part. So it makes it harder.
Yes.
And I'll admit, I am in that garden. There's no doubt. But when we stop and think about it, it's not necessarily Apple's fault. You know, back in 2008, when whenever it was that the iPhone hit, man, it was just the greatest thing since sliced bread. The internet was on this little cube in your hand. And now the phone has fallen from that lofty place to just another commodity. It's a commodity we can't live without. And no longer, even I don't upgrade necessarily every year, every phone. Whereas I would upgrade it every 3 months at one point, but it's not a big deal anymore. You can't live without a phone. I don't care who you are. You can't do it. You got to have it.
Well, absolutely.
And if it's working really, really good and they can't innovate any more wonderful changes, well, what's the reason to spend another $1,200?
Why would you jump phone? Right?
Or why would you jump ship? Either way. I mean, I don't know. It's just, what's your guys' take on this?
I do think that there is something definitely going on with Apple and their status or stature with the market right now. There's a lot of people looking at them, giving them the stink eye. Number one,
Oh
a
yeah, yeah, and
lot of that is
that
coming from Europe, or at least anything that may be coming from other places other than Europe, including here in the United States, is likely stemming from activity that's coming out of Europe. Right. Last week we talked about Senator Elizabeth Warren, indicating that it's, without a doubt, Microsoft has a phone monopoly and they need to be broken up. I
Microsoft?
don't, or did I say Microsoft? I'm sorry, Apple.
yeah,
Apple.
Apple.
All right, Apple has a smartphone monopoly and they need to be broken up. Um, I don't think that's the case. I don't think anybody here thinks that's the case based on what we know about the smartphone market. All right. Um, but it seems as though their once dominant position with mobile devices, and that be that phones or music players or tablets. I'm staying away from computers and laptops specifically. Seems to be There seems to be at least a little couple of chinks in the armor, a couple of chips in the old wall of the walled garden, as
What
people are
I'm
trying to bang away at it and um, eliminate them from having that level of dominance.
what I'm saying a little bit here is phones have finally assumed that appliance-like position in our lives. I mean, they're just a thing. Like I said earlier, you can't live without it. And that's not a problem for us. We're fine with that, the consumers, but it's definitely a problem for the phone maker being Apple. And they have tried over the years to diversify their interests. They've done a great job in services. They've entered in there. But let's be honest, still
Right.
80 some percent of their revenue comes from one humble product, the iPhone. And
Yeah.
they would, they invested a lot in keeping us believing that the brand name matters on that phone. They do market that heavily. And their answer has always been to just keep building the wall garden higher and higher and higher, making sure the customer uses their products and nobody else's. And now,
Right.
as this garden possibly could come tumbling down or the walls to it, it's a different ball game.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's
Yep.
face it. This one thing that I want to say on this topic is that um, when was the last time Apple has ever innovated? It's been quite, and I don't mean some of this.
On their phone specifically.
Yeah, I mean, because the design has been pretty stagnant. That's one thing. They're not doing anything so totally unique. Yeah, other
Or
than
there's
make an
nothing
app.
left to do.
The
Well,
last thing
that's
that could
true.
have been considered truly innovative was more of a software move than a hardware move, and that was with the
Right.
dynamic island, right?
Yep. Yep.
Um,
And which, to be honest, that's just a crutch for the whole.
Right.
it's
I
a way
couldn't
for them
agree
to
more.
cover up
Right.
the notch, as it were,
Right. But
right?
when
But
you look
as they make the phones better, they're lengthening the replacement cycle, and that's bad for sales. So they've made their
in
own
some
bed.
ways, yes. In some
Right.
ways, yes. Because it's like, how many times are we going to get an iOS update and it's going to say, "Oh, it's got 3,000 new emojis." Who gives a crap?
Who cares about the
You know,
emojis? I mean, so you can
yeah,
have
that's not
three
innovation.
or
That's
four different colors, new colors
No,
right.
of
that's
poop,
just
right? Who cares?
that's evolution. It's not it's
And in
not
some
revolutionary.
respects,
That's not
and
that's evolution, not revolution.
right,
That's
and
correct.
Correct.
in some respects, it's the same on the Google in Android as well, with the one exception: foldables. Foldables are the only phone platform that has a foldable right now is Android. All right,
Well,
and
Yeah.
and given
multiples of them. So I mean,
that's true. They are the only ones. They are, well, seeing as there's only two mobile OSs right now. All right.
right,
It's very difficult to say that Android's the only one. Well, of course they're the only one. There's only two. Is Apple doing it? No, not yet. All right.
Right.
So it's that level of hardware innovation hasn't come yet. Based on the rumors that we've heard over the last 4 to 6 months, it doesn't look like Apple's going to be coming out with a foldable anytime soon, either in their tablet market or in their smartphone market. And it's really interesting.
And we all know when we'll
Allison
find
Johnson, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, I said we all know when we'll find out if they are
Yes.
coming out with
Yes,
one.
probably
The
in
day
June,
it comes out.
when it comes
Right.
out. Right. They'll announce it in a June of, this year, next year, the other year,
Mhm.
the other year, whatever.
They
But
have
until
announced
Tim
an iPad
steps on
event.
stage, we don't know. We won't know.
Right. And they have announced an iPad event.
That's true.
May 7th.
So
Yep.
yeah,
and
which
that might be a little bit innovative there, Joel, if they have anything at all coming down the pipe. What I'm reading,
I wouldn't hold your breath.
you don't think so?
No, I
Eh,
mean,
No.
the biggest deal might be OLED screens, which
I think what you're going to
Yeah.
find is another speed bump. All right.
yes,
I could
yes,
care
spec
less
bump,
about
and that's
that.
about it. All right.
right.
As far
I
as
think
Yeah,
it
and I
plays
have-
just as good.
Yeah, I have an M2 iPad Pro, and I'm honestly saying I'm not gonna upgrade if all it is an OLED screen and an M3. I don't care.
I have
But they're saying M4, Joel. They're saying M4 and onboard
Either.
AI.
Yeah,
Oh.
If
well,
they
I don't
do
give a
that.
crap about that either, but
I
know
that's
you don't.
besides the point.
But it is innovation, is
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
Well, Copilot ain't
Not
gonna be
really.
my Copilot on
Right.
all right.
Right.
So that's, but interestingly enough, Allison Johnson was, said, while she was testing an iPhone 15 Pro, she stopped by her wireless carrier's local store. She got chatting up with a local sales associate, and she says, "Hey, what do you think of the new iPhones?" And the sales associate went, they're phones.
Right.
They're
Another
phones.
phone.
All right.
Right.
Which basically, I mean, and if you can't get the sales staff excited, how in the world are you going to get consumers excited?
And if you
What-
can't get geeks excited about them either,
Right.
because my dad,
Right.
a lot of folks that Larry talks to, they don't care. Just
No.
don't screw it up.
No,
That's
it is an
right.
appliance. It's an appliance. It's a toaster.
Right.
It's supposed to make toast. That's all it's supposed
Right.
to do is make toast. Same thing with their iPhone. It makes phone calls when they need it to. It delivers news. It fetches email.
I mean,
Right.
AI is becoming clip it. I mean, it really is. It's
Please don't
it-
don't say the C word on this show. Not
Yeah.
on the show.
Well, another thing though that we're seeing, and I didn't ever think we would see this. We're seeing Apple start to lose their death grip on the App Store.
Yeah.
And
there's
if
going
that
to be changes.
happens,
There's going to be some serious repercussions and changes
Yeah,
with that. Even though it's
absolutely.
not happening here in the States, which I believe would be considered their quote unquote primary market. They are an American company, right? Even though China is huge, Russia is huge, they are an American company, even though they're assembling and manufacturing in other countries like Brazil and India and China. They're just it's their primary.
there's something
this is their primary market.
significant
And I
that
don't
I'm
think that
going to
they
bet
care. I
our
don't think
readers.
most people care.
I'll bet our listeners don't even know this because it's just not known. Each year, Apple brings in over $60 billion of revenue from that.
That's
App
billions
Store.
with a B as in boy.
B, not an
Mhm.
M, a B. Can you just wrap your head around that?
No,
I can't
Mhm.
either.
I don't know how many times to the moon and back we can go with singles stacked between here and the Sea of Tranquility. I have no clue, but it's got to be at least more times than I would be interested in knowing, because all it's going to do is make me cry. But this may be one of the reasons why iPhone activations are in a slump. as you know, Android based, activations are I wouldn't necessarily say they're on a climb. But I would definitely say that iPhone activations are on a downturn, and
I
Android
agree.
is dominating, right?
Hmm. Well, Android really worldwide, Android has dominated. I
Well,
mean,
they have
yeah,
since they were
Yeah, always.
always, right?
yep. So I mean, the iPhone is only in ahead in one market, and that's the U.S.
Yep.
And
But this year,
and
there's been a big slump, even in this market.
that's exactly right.
That's true.
You
But
know,
it's not that they're
and
buying new phones, it's that they're not buying phones, period. That's part of it.
Well, part of
yep,
it, I think, is the economic downturn hasn't turned up yet. All
Right.
right. So I still think that there's issues and problems as far as what's going on.
yes,
Thank you. And
yep,
thank you. I rest my case.
yep. I mean, yeah, I
You
mean,
honor the defense rests.
yep. I mean, here it is. Well, even I now here's the thing. I have usually at the point in my current phone contract that I'm starting to think, yeah, I want to go get a phone. But guess what? I'm not gonna wait. I'm not gonna get one
Mm-hmm.
until probably October, mostly because there's no sense in me going from a Pixel 6 to a Pixel 8 Pro at this point in the
Right.
cycle. This doesn't make
No,
sense
it's
at
too
all.
late. Too late now.
Yeah, so it's like, or fold for that matter, because right now what it's looking like October timeframe is that too.
Right.
And here's the honest thing too. I'm probably gonna go do not just get the Pixel 9 Pro or whatever. It depends on what the fold
Right.
situation looks
Right.
like.
Right.
But I'm probably not. I have 512 in my 6 Pro. I'm probably not gonna get 512 in my new phone.
Right. Right.
Not necessarily because of cost, but I'm just looking at, well, am I actually using it? And the answer is
I
no.
never have.
Right.
Nope.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not using any of that. So it's like I'm probably gonna, for the first time ever, take a downgrade in my storage just because I don't need it.
You
I
know,
If
don't
something
you
else
aren't
we,
if you aren't gonna use it, it's not like the storage is gonna go bad. It's gonna spoil, but it's an expense that you don't need to make.
exactly. I mean, and the same thing goes like would it, if I had, well, I have the opportunity, I could get it a terabyte iPhone, but I'm not gonna, because I'm just not gonna use that much storage. If I'm not using 512, I'm not gonna use that. And the ones who, I'm not and never have been one of the ones who, well, if it doesn't have a micro SD card slot, well, that ship has sailed, dude. I'm like, just move on.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
because
yeah,
honestly, I
yeah.
can get for $100, 100 and a half. I can get an off-brand 2 terabyte micro SD XC card. All right.
Well,
Um,
I don't even need that either. I have
What would I put on it?
this
well,
is
the
what I'm
thing
saying.
is
This is
I
what I'm
have
saying.
I have a terabyte SSD card or SSD drive that
Mhm.
goes with USB-C. If I really get that short on space, I can plug that sucker in and offload the crap on my phone
Sure.
and be done.
Sure.
But it's like when even with me being the app hound that I am, which, dude, I have like 400 apps on my phone. So I mean,
Dude,
yes,
I don't know how people
Finally, someone beat me.
yeah,
I don't
it's
know
like,
how people have hundreds and hundreds of apps. I
yep.
looked the other day.
90. That's all I
I think
got.
I had about 70 some, and I'm like, what the heck have I got on there? Well,
To be fair,
like,
I do need to sit there and go
well,
through
every single
and
watch face
right. Well,
is
I'm
counted
not
as an app. All right.
right.
I have watch faces. All right. And that's where
Yeah,
most of that is for me. But
right.
getting
You know,
back
when we
to
talk about these numbers, it's in all fairness, we should point out, as we have before, Apple
Mhm.
only makes 3 or 4 models or five of an iPhone. And when you count all the manufacturers and all the low-end phones, there's probably 150 or 200 varying prices from $99 up to 1,000
Or even
with
cheaper.
Android. So
Right.
so the market can afford those better. Not everybody can
Right.
afford an iPhone. So that does, in all
Well,
honesty, drive sales down a
It does.
little.
But you know it was really really interesting, and I heard this more than once, and I had to stop. It's a good thing I have YouTube TV as a provider because I could stop it and rewind it and let it play again
Right.
because it made me wonder, what the heck was it? That can't be right. I'm seeing a lot of commercials right now for um, MVNOs or
Oh yeah, lots,
mobile
tons of them.
virtual mobile
Network
operator,
operator.
right?
Yes.
Um, and they are advertising brand new iPhone 12 series devices. Come and get your service with us. We'll give you a brand new iPhone 12 Pro or Pro Max with your
And that's
new
not a bad
activation of
phone.
service. No, the 12 Pro and the 12 Pro Max are awesome phones. My
Mhm.
my oldest boy has one. All right, he's got a Gazinta phone from one of the ones that we had when we
Mhm.
switched to the iPhone 14, and he loves that phone. And finally, he's taking care of one of them, so he may have it for a while, which is kind of cool. But
Yep.
I mean, geez,
Yep.
um, but the one of the things that I wanted to make certain that we did mention here, and this is from the owner of the Dulcet Tones, Mr. Gavula. Um, when we're talking about phone activations for this story, all right, or related to this story, all right, it's not just iPhone activations that are down. Phone activations, period, are down.
Mhm.
People are not, and Larry, you may have mentioned this. I think you may have said this.
Yeah,
Already.
we're keeping our phones. Yeah, that's it.
People are not jumping into new phones. All right, so they're not changing devices. They're not upgrading. They're staying where they are because at this point I think that they are anticipating some level of innovative or revolutionary change, whether it's transparent from a design perspective, i.e., it's a spec pump, there's a neural engine or a chip with a neural engine now that will allow for AI on the device, right? Or will assist with the processing of AI, whether it's server or local. Um,
Right.
so they're hanging out though. They're waiting to see where things are going to go. So, and
And a
speaking,
neural engine ain't gonna do it. I mean, that's
well,
just
you
not gonna
have
do
to
it.
have
Yeah.
one. Yeah, Microsoft was saying what they're changing the specs for their PCs, and I don't want to get off on too big of a tangent, but they were saying, what makes an AI PC? Well, it is from their perspective, it is the implementation of a chip that has a neural engine in it with so many cores. That's what you got to have an
Well, that
AI
makes it
PC.
AI capable.
It makes it AI capable. Yes.
Yeah,
And
So
it's
yet I
hard for all
guarantee
of
you
us
I
to.
have one of those. I have
I do too.
a computer that doesn't have that. And guess what? I can do AI all I want. All I gotta do is
uh,
fire up Google Bard. You know.
well, if you
Yeah.
have any kind of Apple Silicon Mac, you have
True.
a you have a computer with a
Or
processor that has a neural engine in it, right?
yep. Correct.
If you have any
A
kind of an
TensorFlow.
ARM PC, all right, you likely have a processor with a neural engine in it. All right.
But Apple would have you believe you need the 4. You must have the M4
Right.
to drive sales, Chris. I
And
think.
well, they have to do that. They have to do that because otherwise they wouldn't sell anything.
Right.
All
They
right.
could put some of that on an M1.
They could and you likely will be able to use their AI tools with an M1. It may just be a tad bit slower. There may be some
Right.
minor lag with it, but the M1 is still a very capable chip. My 2020 iPad Pro has an M1 machine chip in it. I have a M1 Max um, iPad, or I'm sorry, MacBook Pro. All right, I've got an M2 MacBook Air, and both of those have very very decent um, neural engines in them.
In all
So-
honesty, I'm gonna get a new iPad probably because I don't have an old one. So for me, it's not a matter of upgrading. I've been without one for years because I didn't really have a use case. Now
right.
I have a use case, so I might
There
as
you
well go
go.
ahead and get one.
Yep.
Right.
And in that regard, it's just it is what it is. I got to get one.
Very, very true. And interestingly enough, Apple does seem to be developing its own AI servers
That's what
as of
we hear.
right now. So if you've got an Apple silicon chip, like we've been saying, you have the ability to do things AI. And is Apple gearing up to take on Nvidia and AMD, or what are they doing?
I'm gonna bet they're a little feared out there in Nvidia land.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Well, they're going
Um,
to partner with their old buddies TSMC to do this too, aren't they?
yes, they are. And again, AI tools right now, it's not intelligent. It cannot think on its own. What it can do is sophisticated matching based on key terms to the questions or the queries that you put to it. All right, and it will use this what is currently called a large language model, or at least a database full of terms and explanations and definitions and content about other things that you can match on when you type in a question. All right. And it will go and search for key terms or things that it might identify as key terms in your question and then take you out and then retrieve those results and give you sort of what you're looking for. It does have the ability to write on its own, so it can go ahead and at least say, when you say, "Hey, do me a favor, take this Shakespearean play, and this Shakespearean play, summarize each play in no less than um, 250 words each, and correlate or draw comparisons between the plays, you know, on the following themes." And it will go ahead and do that, all right, to an extent,
Well,
right?
maybe so, but riddle me this one.
Sure.
So, and I'm going to bet Joel buy in on this. If Apple's, this on device large language model, blah blah blah, how
Uh-huh.
does that really trickle down to the average guy? I'm talking about those 2,000 people that I deal with every month. They
It
don't
doesn't.
care about a large language
Yeah.
model. They care about a large cheeseburger. Come on.
Well, they could care, could, not will.
Why? Why?
They could care when they ask Siri or Bard or pick your or Copilot a question about, hey, there Siri says ask away. Um, I don't know if you guys heard that, but she chimed in.
No.
Ask away.
It
Anyway,
happens here too often.
yeah.
Right.
You go ahead and you could ask a question that effectively says, hey, give, who was the better pitcher? Um, this guy or this guy in these eras. And it will go
Yeah.
ahead and bring up
Yeah.
all the stats. It'll tell you who had what more. And all right, so great. And then you ask it another question based on the answer that you got, or the reasons why, or some of the reasons in the answer that you got, and you can fine tune this thing down
Well,
and
maybe if nothing
answer.
else, maybe we're at the end of that era when you ask her something and she says, "Here's what I found on the internet." Well, I didn't ask you that. I want the answer.
Right,
Whereas, at least with
right,
AI, you come up with a real answer, not a
right.
thing like
When you
that.
ask it, when did the attack on Pearl Harbor happen? It could say, "This is what I found about Pearl Harbor on the internet." That's
Right.
maybe what it says right now.
Right.
Right.
It may tell you on December 7th,
At the
1940.
particular time, the day, everything.
Right. Um, and give you all of the background and backstory on it. All right. As opposed to, it'll answer your actual question as opposed to showing you stuff that it found that may or may not be related. So that's hopefully where it's going. Right. And that's hopefully what a large language model will be able to do. It is not intelligent. It cannot think for itself. All right.
Not yet.
Well, it is it is a database full of information, and that's all that it
Yep.
is right now.
It's
right.
hard for us to get excited about this. The three of us or the four of us, if Chris was
Mhm.
here, it's hard.
It's hard for us to get started to get excited about this simply because nobody knows what it can do. Nobody knows what it should do with the information that it has. Nobody
all we
really
have is a
knows.
bunch of bad. I was saying, and all we have is a bunch of bad examples. You know,
True.
when you
And
look
a
at
bunch of
when-
babbling legislators that absolutely know nothing about it.
Oh,
exactly
don't
right.
get
I
me
mean, that's all we
started.
have. Yeah.
You know,
When I look when you know when you plug in basic questions that hey Google search engine can answer, and it can't answer, there's a problem. See there, Google's
right? No,
she's talking in the background.
I understand what I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I need to be able to have a conversation with this thing. I need to be able to talk intelligently, and it needs to give me definitive answers. It needs to give me what I'm looking for and not just throw me a web page or a temporary page that is going to disappear, and I have to ask the question again to get it back, and I may or may not get the same answers back as I did the first time. All right. So there's a lot that needs to happen here, but hopefully, what I'm hoping though is if Apple is going to join this party, if they're going to crash it and they're going to crash it late, what I would really prefer them to do is what they've been doing all along. Don't give me something new. Give me something that works the way that it should.
Something better.
Give
Thank
me
you.
something that will work the way that it should.
Yep.
All right. That's what Apple tends to do more of is, instead of giving you a watch with a glucose meter in it that doesn't really work, they're holding off trying to crack that. And, they're not just throwing out there what they have, which may be better than what they had originally back in 2015 when they first introduced the Apple Watch. But it may eventually give us something that works infallibly, right? Works without error. It's infallible. All right. And the numbers that you get are accurate. That's what I'm hoping that it does when they finally do release it, if it ever is releasable on a watch, right? As opposed to something that's more invasive and has to scratch the skin to get to the blood in your body. So anyway, so there's a lot that's going on with Apple and AI and their walled garden over the course of the last few weeks, and we're just going to have to
We'll hope for the best.
sit and watch and hope for the best. I want to go ahead though and move us to our mobile Linux segment, and this is kind of interesting. I don't.
This is
use it all
me.
that
This
much.
is me personified right here.
Yeah, Google is integrating Keep Reminders into Google Tasks. I know, Larry, you're excited about this one.
Well, it's not that I'm excited about it. It's that I have made several very feeble or unsuccessful attempts to get out of the walled garden and go to Google for my
Right.
primary devices and my daily routines. And one of the things that always stopped me, I just have so many things that I work on concurrently that I need a good calendar, I need a good task manager, and I need a good reminders app.
Right.
And heretofore, Google couldn't give me that. Now, I'll be the first to say that the newest rendition of Google Tasks is a very, very good product. I defy anybody to prove me wrong. It's good. But
I use it.
lacked reminders. It doesn't have freaking reminders. How can you do work? I mean, if you're out and about.
What do you mean it doesn't have reminders? Because I use it a lot. Like I put my meds in there.
Not the keep reminders that the say they're different.
I never used Keep reminders in Keep. I use Keep for like lists and notes and stuff, not
See, that's a use
reminders.
case thing.
Right.
And probably once they get this integrated, I'm going to bet they'll kill Keep because that's probably the only thing it's good for,
Yeah,
right?
maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
No, but Google Task is just not as good as Apple Reminders. And were it that good, I would probably still be using a Pixel.
Well, I will say this, and this is just me. Um, Step into the Wayback Machine with me, Sherman, and let's go back to 2004, 2005, into Pocket PC time, and where your PDA or your PDA phone, which is what they called them back then, may have had integration with Outlook, um, and Outlook tasks. You were able to go ahead and create one on your phone and tick it off, and it would sync
Right,
back and
right.
forth with Outlook. Which is where you really had a lot of your PIM or personal information management or manager based information. This was your contacts, your calendar, and your to-do list. Um, and it was very easy to go ahead and write a task, create subtasks for it, and it integrated with Project, and it integrated with a couple of other things on the Microsoft side, and you could just go ahead and go to town. Um, and
hmm
s- and since the Pocket PC died, there has been people have been searching for a way, a better way, or a good way of doing that thing again, and we ain't found it yet. So, and that's all I have to say about
Okay, Forrest. Uh,
that.
yeah.
Anything?
So
Oop, Larry dropped. Hopefully he'll be back. That's
hopefully he'll
okay.
be back. But you know what we can talk about while we because this is gonna impact both yourself as well as myself
Yeah,
more than it
yeah,
will Larry, and that
yeah.
is the
Ding dong, the
non-compete.
non-compete agreement is dead.
Yes.
So, and
Yes.
this is a big deal. A non-compete agreement. It's usually somebody that affects somebody most appropriately or most readily in an IT role or in a contract-based
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
IT role. There are a lot of recruiters that are out there that will write in a non-compete agreement, basically saying that, hey, after you leave this role for whatever reason, whether it is a voluntary separation or um, a non-voluntary voluntary separation, you cannot work for another IT company or any other. You can't take another IT role that is in
Yep.
the same family as the one you're working for us
Yep.
for X number of time. And depending
Right.
on the level in that food chain, it could be 6 months, could be a year, could be more than a year,
Yep. Yeah, man,
and
and
it's
it's
not right.
especially right. It's not right, and especially in cases like, for example, say if they laid me off and they had a non-compete here, I
Hmm.
could not go work for Campus Works. I could not go work for Doctums or any of the other different companies that work with the my knowledge area,
Right.
because I would be
Because the
probably
employment agreement that you signed with your current employer
right.
specifically states that you may not.
Might not because I don't have one of those, but
Right.
but if I did, I would be pretty much screwed. I could not go work
Right.
for another company. I would have to basically go. I could still use some of the same skills that I have, but it would have to be something in the non-higher ed space.
Right. No,
Which
I
is not something I want to do. I mean,
no.
I've been 20 years in higher ed
Mm-hmm.
from the time actually over that because I was almost 20 at Columbus State, and then
Right.
I was hired by my current company, and I don't want to move that space. I'm sitting here, I'm 53 years old. I don't want to move that space if I don't have to.
Right. Now,
So,
Right.
120. So right now, as of the implementation of this thing, this will take effect 120 days from sometime, I believe, last week. All right.
Right.
Number one. And this really affects all those folks that are not in policy making senior executive roles. Now, the
Right.
FTC defines senior executives in a policy making role as anyone who earns more, who does those things and earns more than $152,000.
Right.
All right. There were so this decision affects non-compete agreements 120 days, let's say, from last week. All right. And then it may also affect many existing non-compete agreements or things that that had taken effect moons and moons ago.
Right.
Brother Gavula seems to think that this one is actually going to get struck down. Because some company's going to challenge it and take it to court.
Yep.
That may be the case. Don't know.
Well, and they're really, it's more than, I think it's about bigger problem than a lot of folks even realize too. Because I think I've even seen cases where not even if you're working for a higher level, like in our case where we're like senior level positions
Right.
or managers,
Right.
I've seen even retail have non-competes. Because hey, you have proprietary knowledge of what
Of
Target
how
does.
we're marketing certain items.
Right.
And I
Yep.
get that. I get
Even
that.
the folks out in Redmond have them for even their folks who work part-time as contractors to
Yeah.
spend a week or
Mhm.
two out there. They don't
Exactly.
want that info. I had to sign my life away so many times.
Yep.
Right. And I'm glad that the FTC has killed the non-compete agreement. They, according to the FTC, non-compete clauses keep wages low, suppress new ideas, and rob the American economy of dynamism.
Yep.
Which basically means if it's preventing people from working, it's going to prevent people from earning a wage, and by innovating new ideas at new companies where other folks may hear that and go, oh yeah, hey, maybe this, maybe not quite that, but maybe this instead. And somebody goes, ooh, that's a great idea. And they go
Mhm.
forward, right? They build off of it.
Right.
Which is what I think most companies would want to do anyway. Nobody wants to be a Me Too. Nobody wants to be a copy of somebody else. They all want to, unless of course you're Samsung. But I didn't say that out loud. Um,
Uh,
um, but nobody wants to be an also ran. They want to be innovative. They want to stand out on their own merits. So hopefully this will get put in place. Nobody's going to really challenge this, and existing agreements out there, like the one I'm covered under for the role that I recently started last week, will hopefully not be bound by a non-compete, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yep.
So, and so that's the end of our mobile Linux segment. And I want to go ahead and get us into our Windows segment, but we'll do that right after this brief message. Hi, this is Christopher Spera with iTechGear.org, and I'm here to tell you that iTechGear.org and the iTechGear Weekly are on Patreon. Patreon is a platform for creators, allowing them to express their creative side in an organized, marketable fashion and earn a living or create a really cool kind of side hustle. You can create a community around your hobby of choice. You can gain followers. You can get members and supporters all along the way. You can create subscription products that for a pledged amount every month, you'll provide to your members and followers. Setup is easy, prices are reasonable, and you can have your pledges auto deposited into an account of your choice every month. With iTechGear.org, our initial offering is a monthly newsletter for just $3 a month. This is our initial offering, and we'll have other tiers and other products and other offers up in the coming months. Become a patron of our site. Grow with us, and we'll provide you with the tech understanding that you're missing right now. Join us on Patreon at www.patreon.com/iTechGear. That's www.patreon.com/iTechGear. And welcome back to the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 87. Take these ads and shove it. I ain't surfing here no more. And like I said, I want to go ahead and get us into our Windows segment. And boy, Larry, you've really had some trouble with Microsoft Windows as of late. And I do not envy you the issues that you've been bumping into, but you've been getting ads upon ads upon ads.
But I
Windows.
didn't get them until maybe, I don't know, a couple of months ago.
Okay.
And a lot of folks, even you guys don't get quite as many. I've talked to people who get more than I do, different kinds. So my best guess is Microsoft is testing. They're somehow testing. I mean, I'm using a high-end PC. It's got Windows Pro on it.
Right.
I don't know how much more business it can be. It's not a play machine. And I woke up yesterday morning or this morning, whenever it was that I sent you guys that screenshot.
Right.
That thing was a quarter of my screen big almost. It was a huge banner.
Yeah.
Bing, come on, buy Bing. We want you to have Bing. Take your Bing.
Have you turned off Copilot on your machine?
Oh, yeah. I've turned everything that you can turn off on this computer. And that did, for a long time, fix the ads and the Edge stuff and all the Bing stuff all went away. But now this one popped up and I haven't changed back. So,
man.
And I'm not trying to make a big deal about this. It's just that, damn it, Microsoft, I pay you for this operating system. You don't pay me to use it, and you're not like Apple, and you don't give it to me to use along with all your free software that I also pay you for. So if I'm paying you, quit trying to shove this in my face. It just incenses me.
Windows is a paid operating system. It is not free.
No, I mean, I know it's a threat,
even on
it's an idle threat, but I swear I'll throw this thing in the river and they can have it.
Sure, but even on a PC that you buy, all right,
you bought the operating system
part
too.
of the price that you pay includes a fee for the license for the operating system, for the Windows operating system. And if you want to upgrade, say, from Windows 11 Home to Windows 11 Pro, you'll be able to do that, but it's going to cost you like $50 to $100 or however much.
Or more, yeah.
All right. And if
I just don't know why they're doing it all of a sudden.
If I'm paying for it, I should not be subject to the ads.
No. I mean, I would almost be happier if they were just ads. I don't know, Calvin Klein underwear, something, but not Bing and Copilot. Please.
Right. No, I get you. And it's
they are only Microsoft ads. I mean, they're not like random ads.
You're not right, because you're not getting ads for
no, I don't.
J. Fox's
don't
Calvin Klein underwear, right? You're not getting those.
Nope.
Or Jordache jeans. Man, I'm really stretching as far back into the 80s with these, or anything else. But
there's nothing we can do about this. No. But on the other hand, it's just annoying. It's just.
Well, isn't it also like those things that you're seeing for the new Outlook for Windows? I mean,
You want
are
to
you
talk
seeing
about that one
ads?
too, huh?
Are you
Well,
seeing ads for the new Outlook for Windows?
yeah, I tell you what. Let me tell you about the new Outlook for Windows.
Nice
Go ahead.
segue.
Thank you.
Very good segue. Every now and then, I read some euphoristic fanboys article about just how wonderful this new Outlook is. And again, I foolishly turn around to my Windows desk. I click on the new Outlook just to see if maybe it's changed. I fell for this again yesterday, and I was
Right.
quickly reminded what an absolute POS and cluster this app really is on Windows. I'm sorry, folks. I wish I could be hopeful that it'll someday be good, but it is nothing more than a high-end web app version of their Outlook.live.com. That's it.
Well,
That's all it is.
what I'm
The,
also seeing is it's more along the lines of the tablet UI as opposed to a phone UI or anything else or a desktop based UI. It's more of the tablet based UI.
well, it would look nice on a tab, but the only nice thing about it, as opposed to Outlook.live.com, you can only have
Mhm.
one account up there unless you pay for Outlook Premium, the web version. This will let you add multiple accounts to it, like your typical Outlook would let you do. But
Okay.
but this is where I send people, the newbies and all the old timers and the kids and whoever, people who aren't geeks. I used to send them to Windows Mail because it was easy, it was simple, it worked not for us, but it worked
Mhm.
for them. I cannot, in all good conscience, I can't send them to this app. I just can't.
No, and
I'll send them to Thunderbird instead.
sure. No, there were a lot of folks, me included, that were really, really excited for
Yeah.
a new version. So Microsoft came out with this or started announcing this probably back about 5 or so months, 5 maybe 6 months ago. There's going to
Yep.
be a new version of Outlook. Is it and the whole bunch of us who remember computing back from the 1990s were like, "Hey, is this going to be the return of Outlook Express? Ooh, wouldn't it be nice if just like the old Outlook Express? And my goodness, I can't wait to see this." And then we got stuck with this lemon. All right. That is really, I mean, it's more of a modern UI, and I know I'm using that phraseology specifically because it was more tablet based or more mobile based, with a hamburger menu and whatnot. And I know they're trying to go ahead and standardize that and throw it into some kind of a web app or some sort of a something or other that looks just like it would on a mobile device, be it a tablet or a um a mobile phone.
But it's not fast, Chris. It's not. I mean, I got
No,
32
I
gigs
get
of
you. I
RAM
get you.
and,
I just I don't like
it
that
feels
style of
sluggish.
interface though. I find it aggravating.
Right. It's like trying to do Apple Mail on iCloud.com. You can, but why would you?
Right.
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 Now, I
It's
don't know where they're going. I think they've lost their compass.
I, I think Microsoft has really they missed an opportunity here. All right. Not that I wanted the old Outlook Express from the 90s to come back, but I
No,
wanted
but
something better, a heck of a lot better than what we've gotten. I wanted some,
mail's with us
go ahead.
for a long time. We're going to always have mail. We always hear this, oh, we're going to finally kill email and we'll move to something like Slack or Spike or whatever. It's not going to happen. You're going to have
No.
email
No, it
till
won't.
our
And it's
grandkids are our age.
no, and it won't because we have people have been keeping files, and when I say files, I don't mean things on a computer drive. I mean a Manila folder full of
Right.
files. All right, since people learned how to print or write a piece of paper, right? People will hang on to that one piece of paper with that important piece of information on it. And honestly, it'll get passed down through a number of generations if it's important enough. And people will look at it and go, "Oh my goodness, look at that stamp, look at that date, look at that, whatever it is." All right. They were squabbling over the thing, whatever that is.
Right.
Um, and oh my goodness, I mean, that fireplace only cost $23. Oh my God.
It's
You
what
know,
you're saying is it's tangible.
it's tangible. Yes, it's tangible, and it's something that they can physically hold on to. People, Slack messages, I mean, it's all in a chat. It's all in a chat format. All right. And I don't know about you, but those kinds of text messages just bother the pants off of me. I am regularly either deleting conversations out of iMessage or Blue Bubbles or whatever it is, for things that I haven't communicated in more than a week. All right. If I need to, somebody else will go ahead and send a message into that group chat, and it'll appear again on my phone. All right. But I don't like scrolling through screen after screen, or have a huge long scrolling list of text chats, where I've got not only a huge list of people and different groups that I've communicated with, but where I've got years and years or months and months of hey, do you want to go out and get something to drink? Blah blah blah. You know, it just annoys me, for something like that. And there's important stuff intermixed with all of that. I don't want to see it. All right. And I don't want that important information intermixed in, hey, what do you want for lunch at the big meeting that we're having? I don't want
Right.
I don't want that in the same chat or in the same conversation as, here's the strategy for the upcoming fiscal year. All right. I don't
Right.
want that. I don't want that. All right. People are going to want that tangible thing, and it's always going to be an email. It's going to be a memo of some type. It's going to be something that I can either print out, or I can go ahead and call back on a computer screen, but it's going to be an individual document or an individual message, memo, whatever you want to call it. I think you're right, Larry. People are not going to get rid of email anytime soon, despite what Slack or any other instant message program or app that's out there would tell you or make you believe.
I agree.
So I just find it, and I don't like the new interface at all either. So, but that's just me. Um, and speaking of Microsoft and national security threats, um, I saw this and I just went, what? Joel, could you please explain to the peoples why Microsoft is is considered by some over at the Register to be a national security threat?
I wish I could. Um, I mean, to me, the biggest national security threat isn't Microsoft. It's the folks working in the government. That's just me. But they're saying if you go, I don't, I completely don't understand this. Um,
Yeah, so apparently,
yeah,
the Register is saying that, um, uh, looking at a podcast called Solar Winds, or at least it was an episode called Solar Winds, from the Register.
which the
Um,
Solar Winds, there was a breach in Solar Winds, so
right,
that's the big deal, right?
right. Microsoft was essentially upselling logging capability to federal agencies instead of making it the default. And as a result, it was really hard for agencies to identify their exposure to the Solar Winds breach. All right. Um,
That's not
Microsoft had to be
Microsoft problem.
dragged kicking and screaming to provide logging capabilities to the government by default. And given the fact that Megacorp banked around $20 billion in revenue from security services last year, the concession was minimal at best. This illustrates that Microsoft just has a ton of leverage, and they're not afraid to use it. So if they're not going to provide the government what they need in order to figure out what their level of exposure is, I mean, I'm making the face. You guys can't see the face, but I'm making the face. All right.
Yeah.
Uh, doesn't it kind of say, come on,
I
that
don't see how this is a Microsoft issue more in that the IT people working for the government don't know what the hell they're doing. That's just me. You know?
Right.
So
Um,
I mean, why you have to go to Microsoft for this information anyway? I don't have any idea why that would be.
Makes
So
no sense.
yep.
yeah. So apparently, um, it is thought, at least by the folks reporting this issue over at the Register, that unless scrutiny from either the Solar Winds episode or any other kind of computer breach generates changed behavior amongst Microsoft's customers who might want to look elsewhere, then the incentives for Microsoft to change are not going to be as strong as they should be. So, given the fact that Microsoft has the leverage that they have, given the fact that um, Microsoft has been, and I think most tech giants would drag their feet because it takes a lot of motivation to get those big wheels turning quickly. Um, they're just going to drag their feet and they aren't going to do anything.
Pretty much, yeah.
But that's just me. So the fact that Microsoft has that level of control, though, even in this is what really bothers me. Microsoft creates the software that 80+% of the entire world does business on. 80+%. All right. Could be as high as 90+%. Of course, I'm pulling that number out of my ear, right? But they write the software that makes the world go round, right? Gets us from Monday to Tuesday.
Right. If you take away all the open source and the proprietary stuff, sure, absolutely.
All right. Because not too many companies actually run exclusively Apple machines or exclusively Linux machines on the desktop. All right. They may have some of those machines in a server farm or in specific departments, say in marketing, or maybe in sales, or maybe they've got road warriors that are
Well, and
using
even if
whatever.
you're a company that's back-ended by SAP or something, you still
Right.
have Microsoft on every desktop.
You do. You've got Windows just about on every desktop. You've got Office. You're probably running Outlook for mail, Teams for meetings,
God help you.
because it's all bundled together, right? Even though they recently pulled Teams out of that bundle, and you can now use whatever you want to use or whatever you feel is most appropriate for your business and or use
That
case.
would be anything but Teams.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they all kind of stink. They've all got their issues.
Yeah, they do.
So, but still, I don't with them having their hands so deep into the federal government's pockets and being so prominent on in the enterprise and on the desktop, I find it very difficult to understand why they are not compelled to do things better or to make changes. But I don't know. It's just me. You guys have anything else to add to that particular monstrosity
No.
before I move us to our tip of the week segment? Okay. Hearing nothing then.
I'm
I
sitting
would
here
like to-
trying to talk, but
Oh, I'm sorry, Joel. Go ahead.
right. I don't really call. I mean, this isn't Microsoft. I don't see how Microsoft's gonna be held at fault here, because the way I look at this is that if they they're not forced to use for example, SolarWinds, as they were talking about with this case here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And the logging that they're talking about, I mean, what more extensive logging do they need? That I guess that's my main question with that is
Mm-hmm.
that, but on the other side of that coin too is that their IT departments have to quit saying, well, it's a Microsoft issue when it may not necessarily be a Microsoft issue. And that's kind of how I feel about this. It is what it
Mm-hmm.
is. Why they would do that? It's like why we gave away a password to somebody. Like, say if we did give away a password to somebody at work,
Mm-hmm.
that shouldn't have it. Well, that's not Microsoft's fault. That's our fault if we do something like that. Not that we're going to, but I mean, the thing is it's it's real sketchy. So
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I
yeah,
agree. It just bothers me that
right.
um there does not seem to be a sense of urgency on Microsoft's part
Nope.
to tidy things up, to be more um circumspect, to be more uh, concerned with the issues at hand. And I just don't
Yep.
understand. I just don't
Mhm.
understand. So, but that's just me. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and good discussion all. I want to move us to our tip of the week segment, but before we get into the relevant goodies here, I want to remind everybody that iTechGear was founded on making technology easy for everyone to understand and use. Um, this team specifically has dedicated their writing careers to that purpose of making it easy for everyone. So every week we're going to have a weekly computing tip. We're going to feature a new computing tip that's authored by one of our experienced editors. And if you have any questions about it or any other questions, you can always go ahead and send your requests, suggestions, or questions over to tips@itechgear.org. So Larry, you've got this week's tip. What is it about? I wonder.
Well, it's about staying informed. There's some things that are easy to do in life, and there's some things that are difficult to do. But when it comes to safeguarding your digital assets, I personally feel that doing so is as important, if not more important, than
Mm-hmm.
protecting your physical assets, especially in today's world. I just can't emphasize enough, and we've talked about this so many times on the show, how much
Right.
cybersecurity threats are evolving day by day, and how it's essential that you stay informed. We can't push this stuff down your throat. You have got to find a
Right.
source
We
to figure
cannot make
this
you
out
drink.
yourself. But
Hmm.
these vulnerabilities, you've got to protect yourself from them. The
Right.
last thing that any of us wants is yet another newsletter or yet another email or one more RSS feed. But these are the best ways to stay informed. Find and follow some respectable cybersecurity news. They're all pretty good. Just pick one. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter. Just pick any one, subscribe to their newsletter, subscribe to their daily or weekly email or their RSS feed, and soak it all up. Make it a
Mm-hmm.
5 minute part of your day, maybe even 3 minutes. That's all. But if
Mm-hmm.
you'll subscribe to these things, and you'll get timely alerts about new vulnerabilities, patches to whatever software you're using, and
Sure.
you'll hear about stuff even faster than Apple and Microsoft can bring it to you in the form of a fix. Really, you will.
And
So,
that is true. That is true.
really, by staying informed about these threats and trends, you're proactively doing something to implement these security measures yourself. You're trying to mitigate the risks and safeguard all of your digital assets. And face it, all of your bank accounts, your keys to your kingdom, I mean, your retirement accounts.
Right.
What happens when someone busts those wide open? And don't say it can't happen, because I've already told you the story where it did.
Oh, it can and it will.
Oh, my word, it can get bad.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
that's it. It's a short tip. It's just a verbal thing, and I think our editor will put it up on the site in the next day or so, and
Yes, I will.
you can
Yes, he will.
read it again. But it's very, very important.
Yeah.
I mean, I do this. I don't just preach this. I do it.
No, I've got at least 2 or 3 different security based
Absolutely.
newsletters that come my way. Sometimes they cover the same thing, sometimes they don't. Most of the time they don't, which is good because it allows me to get different ideas
And perspectives.
on how to keep
Absolutely.
my computing experience and my information, whether it be my shopping information, my financials, whether it be my tax information or any other personally identifying information, personal health information, or whatever.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of money. I want to keep it. What
Yeah.
little I have.
Right.
I have worked
yeah.
way too hard in life for some joker just to go ahead, come in and suck it all away for themselves. All right. So that they can go on vacation and I can't. All right. I've worked too hard.
Yep.
So
That's it.
there you go. All right. Good stuff. And again, now I'm going to go ahead and move us to our pick of the week segment. And I also want to remind everybody that our picks are typically software, hardware, and other items of interest that we have individually purchased and actually used and like enough that we want to recommend them to you, our growing listener base. These are not paid advertisements. They aren't anything that we have any kind of affiliated marketing relationship with. These are things that we just sincerely believe in. And we want to bring them to you at the end of each show. Why?
Because we like you.
Absolutely. And again, if they were things that had those kinds of tags to them, the editorial policy at iTechGear.org says, hey, we have to disclose that up front. So, Joel, you've got the pick this week. What do you got for us?
Okay. So if you may have heard at the beginning of the show, maybe beginning of the last few shows, I am in training for an upcoming hike that's happening in August at Burr Oak State Park. Well, one of the things that is very important when you're on a trail is being able to navigate that trail. And that's where I've chosen All Trails Plus. Now, the great thing about All Trails Plus, it's $35.99 a year.
A year.
Not
a month. Not a month.
Right.
But a year.
And there is a free version of this, but the free version doesn't get you a very important thing, because if you're on a trail in a state park, especially some state parks that are like not near like an urban center, the chance of you having a good 4G or even a 3G connection is going to be pretty slim to none. Okay. So that's where All Trails Plus comes in. Now, All Trails Plus has it's kind of a social network a little bit, in that you can share your hiking in the app itself. You can do a live stream of your hike, which is kind of nice if you have family or something that's kind of concerned on you being able to return to home, then you can actually share that link out on the different social networks like Facebook and somewhat places like that. And this I believe that's only if you have the Plus version. But the best part of this is say you choosing to hike the Lakeview Trail at Burr Oak State Park, you can download the trail map to your phone. And
and you can GPS your way through it, can't you?
Correct. Yeah, and it will the kind of nice thing too is if you have headphones, like I like to hike with headphones on, because it helps me pump myself up, concentrate, whatever. Just
Sure.
keep my mind off of the fact that that my legs and feet hurt. Um, but
Understood.
if you start to like, if you're like, most trails are fairly well marked. In state parks, there's usually blazes. Metro parks, not so much. But if you stray off that trail, say you make a wrong turn from one trail to the next, it will play a noise in your ears, and you can hear that. Hey, maybe I need to pull my phone out of my backpack or out of my pocket and take a look at it to make sure I'm still on the trail.
Sure.
And that's very handy. It does have both. I believe it would have Apple Watch as well as Wear OS apps for your watch.
Nice.
Although I generally don't use the app on my watch, other than I use the Fitbit tracking
Sure.
for the hike too. But for $35.99
A year.
a year, it's an outstanding deal, and I'll probably continue because I like hiking and I always have. And I want to do more of it as I'm on this fitness journey. I'm going to rely on that. There is another one called Far Out, which used to be what was called Gut Hooks. I
Okay.
may look into that. That one might be a little bit better for probably more remote hikes, like maybe sections of the Appalachian Trail, PCT, so
Sure.
on and so forth.
Sure.
But this one's really really good. Another thing I like about this too is if you want to my metro park here close to me has a REI sponsored trail called the REI River Trail, which goes right down along the Scioto River. Well, I don't know if you've heard about the flooding and stuff that we've had recently, but that
Oh,
trail's
it's bad. It's bad.
Yep.
I won't
bad.
say you can go on it now. It wasn't as bad as it was, but let me tell you, you better be ready to hose your shoes down when you get back. And hopefully you're having tight on your feet, otherwise the mud's going to take them. So you can go in the app and say and kind of gauge based on the time uh of the review of the trail, is the trail going to be passable for you?
Sure.
That REI River Trail is a lot of mud on that trail right now. The Mingo Trail, which is the one I did today, was fairly dry. Didn't had no issues with that.
Well,
And
that's
it was
good.
hot, but but that's just because it was 84 degrees here in Ohio. But
Well,
All
there's
Trails
that.
Plus for $35.99. I'm sure there's more that it does than I am even saying here. But let me tell you, it's a very handy app. And if you're at all into hiking, bicycling, backpacking, walking, road biking, great app to find trails that you can go do those things on and not have to risk doing it on like city streets and stuff like that. So, All Trails Plus.
Unsolicited opinion here. I think this is the same app that a friend of mine here in Tellico Village is a big hiker, and
Mm-hmm.
he leads several hiking groups, and they go on all these Cumberland Mountain trails. And I mean, we're talking day trips here all day long. I believe
Right.
this is the app he uses. I'm quite
Yep.
sure.
Like there's far out now. Certain it's all going to depend on the trail you're going on. Far out generally will have guides for specifically for the longer distance trails like the Appalachian Trail, Pacific Crest Trail, the Continental Divide Trail, which are the top three trails.
Does this give you like an overview if you've never, say, done that hike before? It kind of say, okay, you're
Yes,
going to encounter this, that, and the other.
it does in that it'll like kind of play over like do a flyover of the actual trail, um which can be kind of useful. The pictures, if hikers have submitted pictures of the trail, that's probably much more useful just to
Right.
gauge the condition of the trail. But you can kind of get a general idea. It will tell you statistics about the trail, like what's the elevation change. Um, Other reviews on that will tell you like, hey, this is an easy trail, a moderate trail, so on and so forth. So it helps you select trails to, if you're not feeling taking a moderate trail, we'll take this easy trail over here instead,
Yeah. I like their
so
website. Very well done.
Yep, the website is very yeah. It's I can't speak enough about this app. I mean, it has been invaluable as I've done like last weekend I did the Hargis Lake Trail down near Circleville, Ohio, and it literally would, if I kind of strayed off of it, it squawked in my ear, and I would pick up my phone and said, "Oh wait, I gotta go back here and turn on that way." All right, yeah. Very handy, because let me tell you, if you'd make the wrong turn, you could add another mile onto your hike, which you weren't planning on doing. So, it's not only is it handy for navigation, but also it's a time saver too, because you don't get lost. It's I don't think I wouldn't call it is good enough. Like I would say, especially if you're going on the more remote trails, which I haven't been. Most of mine are in state parks and stuff like that. Um, but if you're going like a hike, I would still take a compass along.
Oh
But your
yeah.
phone and the GPS is going to be invaluable. And All Trails Plus, just it's like Google Maps for trails, essentially. I mean, it really
Cool.
is. So, but
Well,
I love
that's
it.
cool. That's
Yep.
really cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, that is the show. This has been the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 87. Take these ads and shove it. I ain't surfing here no more. Recorded
No more.
live. Recorded live Sunday, April 28th, 2024, live from iTechGear Central for Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin, the ailing Mr. Chris Gavula, and brother Joe McLaughlin. I want to say, hey, guys, we will see you next time.